I got to relive all these heinous moments and all these really great moments and walk away and let it go. And I got a lot of mail from a lot of kids, some of you maybe, who got a lot of help from that show. And sadly, there is nothing on TV now like it. You know, I thought, 6 years later, we'd see something that equaled that, but we don't, and I don't know why. But, so that was my coming out experience. And now I want to talk to you guys. Can we talk? Can we talk? Because now I got all serious and stuff. Not feeling good. But, so I have answered just about every question you can imagine. If there's a question you can imagine, I have probably answered it. Trust me. Some of them were painful. But I really want to answer your questions. Now you're all fidgeting your leg. But come on, let's talk.
I was working with Claire Danes.
Huh?
I said, how was working with Claire Danes?
She's great. One of the most naturally gifted actresses I've ever worked with. I mean, she was 13 when we did the pilot. She was playing 15. And just had a real grasp of herself and the situation, and was a real joy. I haven't really had a working experience like that with anyone else. I felt like I was in the presence of a prodigy. You know what I mean? And I learned a lot from her. I speak to her periodically. I mean, every couple of months, I'll get a phone call from, friends, or from Yale or something, But she's doing good. She's doing really good.
This isn't really a question, but first I'd just like to thank you for the show. I know that, I was in high school when it came out, and
Oh,
it made me cry a lot because it was everyone that you saw around you, and I wish that show could have been on for my uncle when he was in high school, but I thank God that I have a family that loves him and did not turn their backs on him.
are you gonna make me cry? That show will always hold a very, very dear place in my heart, because I think it's what I want to do with my life, which is, yes, I want to entertain and I want to do great work, but at the same time I want to be of service, and I want to enlighten the experience a little, and it makes me feel good to know that we did that, and that I was part of that. So thank you. I'm really glad that we were there for you. And for your uncle. I'm sure he got something out of it now.
Talk about playing Angel.
Angel was a gift to my uncle who passed away in 1988 from AIDS. And I played him like him. He was so full of life and joy, and saw only the good in people, and never saw the bad, and only saw opportunity around every corner. And I thought that's what Angel was. Angel, even despite all of the hard knocks that he had been given and had experienced, he still was the son to all of the people in his life, And And I got to be her every night. And at the same time, it was another cathartic experience in the sense that I had to deal with one of my biggest fears every night on that stage, which was contracting HIV and dying of AIDS. And every night I had to die. And every night I felt a deep responsibility to be as honest about the pain of that. And especially at that time when the play takes place, which is in the early 90s, when there was no hope. You know, there was very little hope. We had AZT and that was it, you know, which was basically a poison, you know. Kept a lot of people alive long enough so that they can get the newer drugs. But, you know, it was hard to have hope in the early 90s, and that's when Rent takes place. And for him to have had that much hope, in spite of all that, it changed my life, you know, the way that I looked at my life. And the lyrics to that show, I still, you know, I think of them, there's a lot of them that I think of daily, you know, when I'm overwhelmed with going to 16 colleges in 2 weeks, I think of No Day But Today. I don't have to deal with the 16 colleges. I only have to deal with the one I'm at right now and the people I'm with right here and now, because I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. No Day But Today, I think it changed the way I lived my life completely. And I got to be on Broadway. Hello, you know, which was like a lifelong dream for me. My mom got to see me on Broadway, and I did it before I was 25 years old, which was like amazing to me. I loved doing it.
I believe Party 5 is by the same people that did My So-Called Life. It's not.
No.
It's not. Was that role written for you?
Yeah.
Was it? Because you were refreshing through the Party 5. I was kind of dying out. You came on. We were so glad to see you on there.
Oh, thank you.
Just loved My So-Called Life. And
Yeah,
I was just curious if that part was written.
Yeah, I finished Rent, and I left New York and went back to LA, and I was thinking, okay, I need a job. And I didn't really see anything in the new shows that I liked, you know, that I wanted to be a part of and everything. So I thought, okay, I'll just hold out and see what comes along. And all of a sudden, I got a call from Amy Littman. She says, so, you should call my agent. And then she called me. And, you know, she goes, so, you know, are you busy for the next 9 months? And I'm like, no, why? She said, well, do you want to be on Party 5? And I was like, okay. I can fit you in because I wasn't doing anything. And they brought me in, and they were like, well, we want to make you the nanny for Owen. And I was like, oh, cool. And they said, do you have any ideas? And I said, yeah. I want him to be as straight shooting and honest, and I wanted him to be a thorn in these people's side a little, and I wanted him to be very honest and upfront with them, and not give in, because I felt like the show, like a lot of it was about, oh, my life is horrible, and you know, and I wanted him to come in and be like, your life is not that bad. You have a big old house in San Francisco, okay? What is so wrong with you? You know? Sit down, let me tell you about my life, you know? And I wanted him, and they agreed. We wanted him to continue to surprise people. Like, just when you thought you had figured him out and who he was and where he came from, we surprised you with something else, and we gave you something else that you weren't expecting, you know? And so it was fun, you know, in that sense, that it was always developing, and it was always changing, and it was never, it was never dead, you know? And next week, in the last episode, we have the very first male-on-male non-comedic kiss, Mitchell Anderson and I. So, good for them for allowing it to happen. It's not a big deal. It's not like, we're like tonguing each other down, but it's, it's a real moment, where we see each other and, we're dating and so we kiss each other, like in real life, So that was refreshing and that was cool that they allowed that to happen without making a big fuss about it. Like the scene isn't about that. It's about, oh, hey, how are you,
Was your character on that show always written as a gay character? Because it seems like you've only addressed that issue in recent.
Yeah,
Or, so you always played it that way.
Yeah.
Of,
I didn't want it to be the issue in the very beginning. Like, I just didn't think it was important. But I also thought that we had a real opportunity to say something about parenting issues. And also, how do you talk to a child about being gay without talking about, sex? And how do you explain it to him in terms that he'll understand and apply it to his life? And so it became a lesson of respecting differences in other people and respecting privacy. And and I really liked the idea of this young Latino man who had such a loving quality and such an ability with children. I loved the idea of that because I love kids. My biological clock is ticking like this. It's like, I want one so bad. I just can't get pregnant.
Wilson, what's the relationship you have with the man who chased you away on Christmas Eve?
My daddy. He is a member of PFLAG. I always forget to tell people that. I just take it for granted. He is amazing in the way that he changed his outlook. And it's hard for him. It was hard for him because he had been taught something for so long and he had attached such meaning to the word man, and had attached real definition to that, and he had to change that in order for me to occupy his life. You know what I mean? Like, in order for him to love me, he had to change and throw away his old ideas of what a man is supposed to be. And I'm very, very proud of him. I'm so, so proud of him. And it really took a dialogue, long, painful dialogue with him. And it didn't happen until he saw the Christmas episode of My So-Called Life. And he called me. He called me at home, and he was like, I'm sorry. And that's all I wanted to hear from him. I wanted to hear that he was sorry. At the time, that was all I needed to hear. And it meant the world to me. And from there on, I just let him know that he could ask me anything and we could talk about anything. And we did. And we got past it. And now he's just my daddy.
And with, it seems nowadays that there's a lot of gay characters on TV, gay and lesbian characters, but yet, why do we still not see very many out gay and lesbian actresses and actors and performers?
Money.
Really has that much of a stigma still to it?
In their minds, yeah, it does. And, some of these people crack me up. Like, we know Ricky Martin's gay. And we know that. He's the only one who doesn't know that we know. We know Rosie O'Donnell is gay. Who is she kidding? I don't get it. I'm not for outing people. That's a lot. I mean, you know what? I'm not for outing people who will be damaged by it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Ricky Martin's gonna lose his house, Ziz, you know, all over the world because he comes out. Or because I say that he should come out. But he has more money than he knows what to do with. He has houses all over the world. And I think he's really missing out on an opportunity to affect people's lives. And, you know, Rosie, I love her. I watch her every day, but I just want to say to her, you know, if you can make a big deal out of Scope and Listerine, imagine what you can do for gay kids everywhere. You know, she talks about, and she does, she's a huge advocate for children, and I think she's missing a huge population of it. She's ignoring a huge population of it. And I don't know who she's kidding. It's not, you know, she has more money than she knows what to do with. Those are the people that I don't understand why they don't come out. You know, like Jodie Foster. Did you see Summersby? You know, she play lawyers, but you know, I can't. Personally, whenever she kisses a man, I'm like, ooh. It feels wrong to me. And I think I'd probably believe her more if she wasn't doing a double acting job. You know what I mean? Like when I walk into a room for straight roles, I'm not going in as an actor trying to act straight, trying to act like the character. You know what I mean? I just go in as an actor and I'm going to be this person. I don't have the added weight of having to convince these people that I'm straight too. You know what I mean? Because they know that I'm not straight, but I can go in and do the job and get the role. I've played many straight roles. Not in front of you all, but I've done one in front of you all. Nobody went to see it. It's okay, I'm not bitter. You know, it's easier for me in my mind to just be upfront and honest, and it makes my work easier and it makes my life easier, you know?
Doesn't it seem like Ellen DeGeneres' career kind of went down after she came out so publicly?
No, I mean, she has a new show coming out on CBS this year.
Yeah, but her show like went off.
Yeah, but she did, yeah, she messed that up. Because all of a sudden it was like, it wasn't, like I used to love watching Ellen, you know? I used to love it just because she was hilarious. And all of a sudden it became, I'm Ellen and I'm gay. You know, it became about that instead of it just being about this woman's life. You know, television is funny and art is funny. You can't beat people over the head with it because they're going to turn you off. You're going to turn them off.
That's why I think your character on Party of Five is so great because they didn't make a big deal out of it.
Right, and I think that the American public is beyond that at this point, where we have to like explain to them what being gay is. Like they know, their cousin's gay, you know, their uncle is gay. They know what being gay is, you know. So if there's a gay person on the show, then just there's another person on the show who happens to be gay. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I've always approached it. Is that it's not about the issue. And people were always like coming up to me, well, why didn't you say it more on My So-Called Life? I was like, because who didn't know? You know, like how much more obvious did we need to be? And also because it was a journey for him. It was about the journey of self-acceptance and all that. So, anyway, so I mean, I think Ellen gets it now. And I'm going to see her on Friday, and I'm going to sit her down and be like, okay, so don't mess up the next show. You know, just be funny, because she's hilarious. Her stand-up is funny, and she was always funny. And if she just does what she does, we'll be entertained. And that's all I want her to do. I just have to talk to her.
Do you feel that being gay has hurt your chances of a successful movie career such as Jared Leto or Claire?
You know, I never fooled myself into thinking that I was going to be the leading man. You know, I mean, I'm cute, But, and don't get me wrong, it's not that. It's just that it's always been more interesting to me to be a character actor, and those are the careers that are interesting to me. As far as movie career is concerned, I'm not concerning myself with like becoming a movie star. I just want to work, you know, whether it's in the movies or on TV or in the theater or whatever, you know. I just want whatever I do to be good. So I mean, if it happens to be a movie, then great, you know what I mean? But if not, I'm not gonna. There are people there are actors out there, and God bless them, that they can do this, but they won't do TV, or they won't do theater, or you know what I mean? Because they want to be a movie star. And I'm like, you know, these days, there's such good work everywhere that you're missing out, you know? I mean, look at The Sopranos, look at Sex and the City, look at, you know, The West Wing. I mean, that's just as good of work as any movie, I think, you know? And television is powerful for me because you get to know these people and follow their life and see them develop and change. And that's interesting to me because that's like life, you know? So I'm not concerned about that. But I do like doing movies, and I'm going to be doing more very soon.
Any plans for getting behind the camera at all?
Ha! Yes, actually. I am writing and directing. I'm writing it now, but I'm probably going to be directing my first film next fall. The one that I'm writing, obviously.
Are you auditioning yet?
No, I'm not. But I'll let you know. So I'm very excited about that. And so I'm taking film class because I'm not going to be one of those actor directors who like, oh yeah, I know how to direct because I was on TV. You know, directing is a whole nother thing. And so I'm studying now, and it's hard. Because I'm a very visual person, and while I'm writing it in a very visual way, so I just got to find a way. I'm just learning how to put that on the screen now. So, yeah, and I think that's the key to seeing more people of color on TV and seeing more people of color on the screen is that we have to start telling our own stories. We have to start writing our own stories and putting them out there and putting them up there instead of waiting for someone else to do it for us, because nobody's going to tell the stories like we tell them. Have you guys seen Love and Basketball? You have to go see Love and Basketball. That is such a great movie. And there's a woman who said, oh, I have a story to tell, and I'm the only one who knows how to tell it. She wrote it, and she directed it, and she put it out there, and it's fabulous. It's so wonderful. So, yeah, yes. It's good. I'm nervous about it. I'm gonna die.
Were you happy with how the Ellen McBeal episode turned out?
Yeah, I was. That was hard because I was doing Rent in LA at the time, and I would be doing the show at night from 8 to 11, and then, but I would be doing Ally McBeal during the days, so I'd have 18-hour days, 19-hour days. So I'd do Ally McBeal during the day, and then I'd be out of there by 7 o'clock to be at the theater by 7:30 to do the show. So it was 3 weeks of that, and heels. Okay? I don't know how you women do that, but I'm never doing drag again. I'm thank you very much, but no. But it was hard, and I was pretty. I love saying that. Because I thought I was going to be ugly. Honestly, I had never done drag before, and I was so scared. I was like, okay, I'm going to be the ugliest drag queen in the world. I just knew I was going to be. And when I looked in the mirror, I was like, Miss Thing, you are fine. I was like, I am pretty. My mother was like, I said, I know, I'm prettier than you.
I saw you, and you were gorgeous.
Thank you.
98.
Thank you. You had a question?
What do you think of All About My Mother?
I haven't seen it. I know. I haven't seen it. Because when it was out while we were working, while I was working on Party 5, so when you're working, I don't get to see a lot. So now I'm just catching up. That's why I'm so big on Love and Basketball right now, because I got to go see a movie. So I haven't seen it, and it's not playing where I'm at right now. So
It's the Spanish director.
yeah, it's
That's the
Pedro
reason
Almodovar, and I love him, and I've seen everything else he's ever done, and so I'm ashamed to say that I haven't seen it. Someone should beat
You
me,
need, you need to see it.
yeah,
Wonderful.
to get it somehow.
What do you think about Will and Grace? Show Will and Grace.
I'm over it. Beats us in the ratings every time. No, actually, I am over it. Honestly, I just feel like it's been 2 years now, and he doesn't have a boyfriend. He's not ugly. Give him a life already. And, I have a problem with cartoonish characters. And, I think Sean Hayes is hilarious. But, sometimes I'm like, sit. And I just think, I don't know. I just want him to have a boyfriend. I feel so bad for him already. It's like, it's pitiful.
Maybe they could write you one.
They should. They're afraid I'll steal the show. I'm kidding.
Will you do Angel again?
No.
Why not?
It's hard. And I did it. You know what I mean? Like, I did it for a year and a half, and I did everything I possibly could have done with it, and I learned everything I possibly could have learned from it, and I grew as much as I could in it. And I felt, the last 2 months, I felt like I wasn't growing anymore, and it wasn't interesting to me doing it anymore. I didn't feel challenged by it anymore, so it was time to go. I needed a new challenge, something to make me nervous again. It became easy, at the end, because it was like, oh, I've done this many times.
Who would you like to work with?
Everybody. I want to work with Meryl Streep. I want to work with Robert De Niro. I want to work with Kimberly Pierce, who directed Boys Don't Cry. I want to work with Edward James Olmos. I would be his son in a minute. I just think he's interesting. I think he's a passionate actor. So many people, Alfre Woodard. Do you know that I would die if I saw, Alfre Woodard, I would die. She's like goddess to me. Oprah Winfrey, if she walked in that door, I would pass out. I would pass out. It would be like, oh my God, it's Jesus. It's one of those moments. I don't know. I would, ooh, I love what she's done for us, She's like this huge sign of she's this huge symbol of hope to me, that this little black girl from Mississippi, owns the world. I love that.
Could you tell us a little bit about your volunteer work in LA?
Yeah. In Los Angeles, about 3 years ago, we opened up a drop-in center, which basically is a place for kids, gay and lesbian, or any kids on the street, really. They can go there and hang out, and it's kind of like a clubhouse in a way. And I teach an acting class there every now and then, whenever I'm not working. I just try to give back as much as I possibly can, because I remember what it was like when I was there, and there was no drop-in center and nowhere to go. And I also work with Project Angel Food and APOA, which is the AIDS Project Los Angeles, and spokesperson for AIDS Walk, both New York and LA, and anybody who asks, basically, and I'm not working, I usually do it. You know, I just think there's so few of us out there that I try to do as much as I can. Yeah.
I have a question about some of the, the worst parts about being gay or lesbian. Like when you read or see marches against gays or lesbians, or hear about hate crimes, do you feel mad at people who did it, or do you feel like sad because they're like ignorant and small-minded?
My initial reaction is always anger. I don't know why. I'm trying to work through that in therapy, but I'm very angry when I see things like that. And then it hurts me. You know, like I feel personally attacked. You know, ignorance in the world is, we've been dealing with ignorance in this country since the beginning. And it's not going to be an overnight thing, obviously. We're still dealing with a race issue in this country, and now we're throwing on top of that, we're throwing a sexual orientation, or whatever, lifestyle, whatever they're calling it now. And we're dealing with our own issues in our own community, you know what I mean? We have our own race issues. We have our own class issue in the gay community. We still have, as a community, show very little respect to transgendered and transsexual people. And I think that's a huge problem, and it's dividing us. We can't sit and be holier than thou and say we're better than everybody else, because we're not. We have issues as well. But I'm usually angry. But I work really well with my anger. It's not like I go out and like I'm violent about it, but it drives me. It fuels what I do. So that's what my therapist says. I have to like funnel it into another area of my life. It's not happening.
You just mentioned just now the way the gay and lesbian community might relate to transgender people. What about bisexual people?
Absolutely. I mean, I have friends who say it doesn't exist. I'm like, right.
No.
Yeah. And it bothers me when I hear people say that, because we're just doing exactly what we complain people do to us. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think transgender, transsexuals, bisexuals are pretty much thrown into the background because we feel, when I say we, I mean the leaders of the gay community kind of feel like it muddies the vision that we want to put out of what this community is. You know what I mean? And that they're less, that the heterosexual society is less able to accept those groups. So we throw them in the back because we kind of feel like they're making it harder for us. When in reality, we need to just, it sounds so, kumbaya, but we need to come together, and because I think that the whole sexual orientation issue is about, it's not about sex, it's about defining, it's about the definitions that we force onto each other, what we're supposed to be and what is acceptable. And I think that the sex thing is just part of it. You know what I mean? Do you?
Yes. I believe you.
Thank you.
The bi and trans issues and issues of race and issues
race thing, it's not, we should be an example of how to deal with race. We should be, you know, but we're not. We're just a smaller rendition of a larger problem. Instead, you know, you would think because we're fighting for equal rights and for our rights that we would be more open and able to deal with race, but I don't know why we're not. And so it frustrates me that all we ever see when people refer to the gay community is these beautiful built gay white men. I'm like, is that all we are? You know? And that we can't show the rainbow that we're supposed to be. You know, we use this rainbow as a symbol, but we don't really put it out there. You know? But we've been dealing with race for 200 years, over 200 years in this country. So, you know, people still waiting for their 40 acres and a mule. Pay up, you know? But, anyway. Blah, blah, blah.
So how did you get those fabulous arms?
Really? As soon as I took those pumps off, I was like, I have to be a boy again, because they wouldn't let me work out. I had to like stay really slim but thank you. Didn't even go to the gym today. You should see my husband. I wish I could see him.
You have a gorgeous voice. And
Thank you.
I was just wondering, are you interested in doing another musical or recording?
Yeah.
someday,
Oh,
or
I would. Well, I
singing?
don't know if I record, but I love musical theater, and I love musicals. I've always loved them. So yeah, I would love to do another one if another one came up that I was
Favorite?
Rent. No, because it paid the rent. There's so many. My favorite. Dreamgirls. Love Dreamgirls. Well, you dream girl, oh, we make it happy. I gotta find that. Yeah, I would say Dreamgirls. West Side Story, because that was the first one I saw, even though it's very insulting at times, but it had a real effect on me as a kid. I was like, oh my God, you know, they look like me, you know, I can do that. Oh, and a chorus line, I can do that. That's where my mind works in mysterious ways. Yeah. Bueller.
I'm kind of regressing, but I've got a friend who's also gay and Hispanic, and he's about to come out to his parents, and he's really nervous about his dad's reaction, and I just wondered how long it took for your dad to come around and tell you.
It was almost a whole year. It was a year. But it was a long year, and we didn't say very much to each other at all. I mean, when we did, we spoke through my mother, you know. She was like the translator. Your father says he loves you, when all he really said was, hey. You know? It's hard. How old is he?
He's 22.
Oh, okay. So, but is he living at home?
He lives at home, and he's going to college.
I don't recommend doing it until they stop paying the
He's
bills.
waiting.
Honestly, when you start paying the bills, then you can, you know, but I don't recommend it until after you are completely self-sufficient, because it's rough otherwise. My nose is all red. I feel self-conscious.
You said how your parents reacted. How did your brothers react when they found out?
I have two brothers. They're 4 years apart. My 22-year-old brother now, the middle one, he didn't react very well at all, because he's the manly man in the family. You know, he's like plays football and works on the cars, and he reacted like my father reacted, and so he came around when my father came around. My youngest brother is also gay, and came out when he was 13. That was rough. But he's doing really well now. He's full scholarship at the Florida Conservatory for the Arts and singing his little butt off. And so, you know, he's doing well. But it was hard on him because it was easier for him, but harder at the same time. Like, he had a whole nother set of issues to deal with that I can't even imagine. You know, because now he's dealing with, I mean, when he came out, he had to deal with he had to deal with disappointing them even more. You know what I mean? It was like he was the cherry on the sundae. It was hard. It was ugly for a while.
If anybody has any more questions, please feel free to come up and ask them personally. We have a little bit of refreshments over there. One more quick reminder.
Don't forget the vibrators and Viagra. I'm changing the name of my show to Vibrators and Viagra. As of today. Wilson Cruz presents Vibrators. So tell her that I'm using it from now on. Anyway, thank you guys for having me.